Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Paul. Welcome to this AI engineering event. It's a bit of a special one, this one, because we're going to be talking a little bit about the HackXelerator that we're running later in the year. Before I get into that, though, first of all, I should say that we are being filmed, in case you hadn't missed the big cameras over there. If anybody doesn't want to be in anything, then just shout and we can edit. But other than that, we'll assume that everybody's okay with it. I'd like to welcome a fantastic panel we've got this evening. We've really got some great experts and some great robotics labs represented here. Before I get into that, though, I want to just hand over to Sabeta here to say a few words about the venue that we're in. But from my side, thank you very much for letting us use it, and it's a great venue.
Hello, everyone. How many of you have been here before? If you could. Oh, wow. That's a lot of people. So ignore everything I'm about to say. But welcome to Idea London. We are UC Engineering and Will Be Labs co-working and event space for science and tech. So you're probably familiar with UC Engineering, but Will Be Lab, we are a scientist-first platform, and we basically help folks find lab space and work with real estate agents to activate spaces. And we're part of willbe.com, so if you are looking to start a company or interested in that journey, they have just released a 10-day bootcamp course where if you complete it, you get a chance to speak with Will Be Capital Group for some investment. But yeah, a bit about us. We have previously done demo nights, late night cafe, Fail Friday, which we tried to call Fuck Up Friday, but we weren't allowed to. But yeah, we love hosting events and collaborating with folks. If you'd like to work with us on anything, just give me a shout. And yeah, on the co-working side, we've supported about 250 startups since 2013. And with access to our space, you get a UCL email, which means student discounts, research facilities, access to equipment, and free general access, library access, EduRoom, everything, all that goodness. And yeah, if you are interested in joining, or if you're interested in working with us on an event, feel free to scan this QR code. Or you can also find us at idealondon.co.uk, or you can find me, and I'll leave that there.
Thanks, Sabeta. So I'd also like to mention our sponsors here tonight, which are Vultr. So Vultr, an independent cloud provider. And that might not immediately sound amazingly exciting, but Vultr are fantastic supporters of what we do. They supported our original London, Paris, Berlin HackXelerator that we finished this spring, and they're going to be behind our next venture, which I hope the tease has got some of you here. So we're going to be running AR25, which is Agents and Robotics, which is a similar format. It's a HackXelerator. Which is still a few months away, but it's important. We're going to have quite a rigorous selection process for this. It's quite highly sponsored, and so what you should do if you're interested in participating in that is join the platform. So KXSB.org. We're also sponsors of this event. It's very important to join the platform. When you join KXSB.org, you'll see either a LinkedIn or a GitHub button for joining. And it's also important to join the Discord channel and the reason why we have this is because we run these HackXellerators both online and offline, and so we need a place where people can build teams and all the rest of it, and without it, it would be a shambles. It's different from an accelerator. Sorry, it's different from a hackathon where everybody is physically in the same space. So we need that kind of orchestration. So I hope you're all taking note at the moment, and as we speak, joining KXSB.org. If not, come and talk to me a bit later on, and I'll try and help onboard people. Anyway, so over now to my panelists. As I mentioned earlier, we've got absolutely amazing panelists here. So firstly, I'd like to ask each of you to just take a couple of minutes and introduce yourselves and what you're working on. Sina?
So good evening again. My name is Sina Sar, academic leader in robotics at the Royal College of Art. As I said, I'm part of the School of Design, and we use design for problem solving. The type of problems we are looking at are problems of human safety, access, and performance. And we look at how to address these with a human and planet perspective. From the examples of the work actually we have done in the past, so we designed and built a wind turbine blade repair robot because wind turbine blade repair presents a very dangerous type of job. So currently it's done using rope access technicians in the harsh environment, actually usually around 200-300 meters above the sea level. So we had a combination of an autonomous boat, a UAV, and also a crawler platform with integrated autonomous repair system that we developed. So the three platforms were able to represent human in that environment and work remotely. So the newest work we have done is called Circular Economy for Industrial Robots. So we are trying to use advances in blockchain, AI, and robotics to increase the longevity of robots in manufacturing production line. And this is where we work closely with MTC. So I hand over to Carol.
By the way, this wasn't intentional, but we seem to have created synergy straight away. Carol, over to you.
Hello. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Karol Janik. I'm Robotics and Automation Technology Manager at the MTC Manufacturing Technology Center. And I'm responsible for our technology strategy in robotics that includes partnerships with academia, innovation agencies, and so on. Also wear a couple of other hats around advisory to different innovation and science projects, and I'm quite heavily involved in European and AI robotics and European AI and robotics associations. That's mostly kind of advisory work. But what we do at the MTC, we are one of the catapult centers here in the UK, research technology organizations. We are focusing very much on helping industry adopt novel technologies, both industries that need to adopt technologies that have been around for a long while, but they have no clue how to do it, but also bringing the state of the art to the industry. So that covers pretty much every sector. I worked a lot with aerospace sector, manufacturing for the aircrafts, with nuclear sector around robotics and autonomy for inspection, sorting and segregation of nuclear waste, agriculture, autonomous robots for picking fruits and things like that you see in your Tesco every day. So whole variety. I'm mechanical engineer by trade, but I spent most of my career around controls and software for robotics and automation systems. That's, briefly about me. Please.
Thanks, Carol.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Zhe Tang. So you can call me Nick or Chang if you want, because my first name is somehow difficult to pronounce even for myself. So sometimes I complain my parents, so why do you give me such a difficult name rather than, for example, Hey or Wei, this kind of name? Yeah. So okay, I'm now an assistant professor in University College London, and in the Department of Computer Science. And basically, my group focuses on more on the robotics as well as AI agents. Right. So I know most of you coming here today for the accelerator. So a lot of you from the somehow startups. So after graduation from my PhD, I also worked for 2 years for a startup in China. Okay, for basically robotics startups. So we grew from zero, and finally I led a team around 30 engineers plus product manager, this kind of stuff. And we mostly do for example, the restaurant robots as well as the construction robots. And finally, we supply robots to the chain restaurant, over 100 chain restaurants, basically for the robotic restaurant. And we used to be the official partner for the 2022 Winter Olympics Beijing. Yeah. So I'm so appreciate that Paul giving me today the chance to connect with all of the startup founders, VCs, as everyone here. And we look forward to meeting you and chatting later. Thank you.
I think I might have been served by one of your robots at your UCL East cafe. Would that be one of yours? Because it was definitely a robot, and it was in UCL.
No, but yeah, the logic is basically similar. Yeah, it's similar stuff. Yeah.
Andy.
Hi everyone. My name is Andrew Kolisakara. I'm part of the management team at KXSB. Executive director here. I have an extensive track record of helping companies digitize their businesses over the years using various technologies and lately automation and robotics. My role going forward is going to be primarily focusing on an exciting new step for KXSB, which is to bring corporates into our community. So by corporates, what I mean are all companies out there, starting from startups to mid-market companies to large enterprises who wants to digitize their business using AI. So they are going to create real demand for what we do at KXSB. They're also going to bring industry perspectives. They're going to bring in some unique takes on security, confidentiality, ethical use of AI from their industry and their business perspectives. So what that's going to do to us is, over the past year, we've run quite a few successful accelerators. We have built a strong community of talent, and we also have technology partners that are in our community. So corporate companies are going to come in now into the fold, and they're going to bring in a different perspective. That's going to allow us to run additional accelerators. Some of these are going to be very unique to enterprises. They're going to be private accelerators for a specific enterprise. So that's going to create more work for all of us. And it's also going to spin off some beyond accelerator engagements with those companies that would allow us to take the outputs of the accelerators and essentially allow those companies to implement them in their own environments and perhaps scale them as well. So it's all, it's going to create additional demand for our services within KXSB.
Thanks, Andy. I'll just signpost that I don't want to do too much of a sales pitch on KXSB, but just to say, I think what Andy's saying is that really there's an opportunity for everybody because it's a two-sided market effectively, or a multi-sided market. Anybody who joins KXSB can either be working for a corporate project that may come through the platform, or can be working to create projects of their own as startups. And so it's a collaborative platform, and that's why most people can benefit from that. Anyway, so that's enough of the sales pitch from my side. I'm supposed to be moderating. My next question, I suppose what you will have noticed if you're observant is that we've got a rather robotics biased panel, which I think is amazing because it's very rare that you'd get such a panel, talking about robotics, and robotics is the future. But I just need to kind of prize out a little bit that, in the meantime, there's been this revolution of agents or agentic AI, and I'm sure that it must be affecting the robotics business, because a lot of the intelligence that goes into the robotics, I'm assuming, is coming out of this Gen AI revolution. But I need you guys to kind of say whether that's complete rubbish or whether you have been seeing that. Maybe ask Carol first of all.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of new things popping up in agentic AI over the last couple of years, and it's super exciting time. All the new large language models popping up pretty much every single week with a new version of the model. We have more and more visual language models now, more connected to robotics, behavioral models, or visual language action models. So all that investment and all that great work coming out of the AI world will definitely affect robotics at all. Will affect robotics a lot. But in my opinion, we are still in very, very early days of intelligent robots. We've been using robots for about 60 years now. They've been very fast, very precise in a lot of industries, but very dumb. And we need more robots to be able to maintain our civilization in some way. But we need them to be intelligent, and we can't do that without all the advancements that are coming from the artificial intelligence side. But we are still in early days. Yeah, I can hand over to others to get your opinions, maybe.
Zizi?
Yeah, you can call me Nick if you want. Yeah, Nick. Yeah. That's easier. Yeah, that's easier. Yeah. So from my opinion, so today, if we, for example, let's regard, let's say like you said, the AI agent or this kind of like intelligent system as a brain, right? And for example, if we consider the robotics, mostly the robots, right? Okay, as a body. So let's look back. The history is like from a very early era. The early robots, they just repeat the trajectory that we set for them, or they just repeat the trajectory we demonstrate for them. Okay, so it's used mostly in the factories as the industrial robots. And later on, we have the robotics with the planning function, the navigation function, and the feedback control. These kind of sensors coming in, yeah, and then combined to smarter robots. And nowadays, for example, for what I'm doing now, it's called the vision language actions. So it's somehow combining kinds of like large language model with the hardware robots. Okay, so it's basically the all inputs is, for example, the natural language. So we tell the robot to pick up this microphone, and they will analyze it and decompose it into a series of actions, and finally achieve it. So, like I said, so if we consider the processors kind of like the AI agent, so we can regard it as a brain, and the hardware robots as a body. So nowadays, it's somehow a combination of the two, and we can look forward the future is coming. Yeah.
That's really useful. Sina, do you want to say a few words as well?
Thank you. So from returning to your first question about whether we need to embrace this technology or not. So there are many reasons for yes, actually, of course, and many reasons, I think, for what we should be careful about. So when we say AI agent, or it's speaking about agency in the context of human, so it means that we are speaking about, for example, accountability. We are speaking about genuine human intent, or like deciding with like human will, actually, in that way, which is not yet having like counterpart mechanisms in artificial world. But the other side, actually, when you see, actually, they are becoming such powerful that they can be our creative partners in the future. So creativity was something that was mainly relevant to human in the past, actually. So that now it has changed, actually. So they have the ability to co-create with us. So they can partner us, actually, in many activities. So this means that so AI agents can be, like, from the artificial intelligence point of view, can be like good co-workers, but so they give us the ability to acquire information from the environment, to process the information, to act upon to the environment. But what they are missing, actually, is interacting with the real world. So that can happen when we embody them with the robots, and then they can really have real world impact. So I think the future is a lot about the integration of the two technologies. And of course, actually, we cannot say robotics has not grown as much, actually. So we have, like, already robotics also is weaving itself into many aspects of the life, actually. So we have from drones, from manipulators, actually, in the factories. So they are already contributing. But now the combination of the technology with some other cutting-edge technology can bring us to a tipping point, actually, that can transform the future, I think.
Thanks, Sina. Andy, I just wanted to maybe address more the agentic side of things, and how you feel that might start to impact in the corporate world.
Yeah, so there's significant demand from companies who implemented digital assistants, virtual assistants over the last, let's say, 2 to 5 years, and now the next step for those companies is to now make them more intelligent with AI, infusing generative AI into the mix, and so there's a second wave of demand coming when it comes to agents. Similarly, on the robotics side, as it was mentioned, a lot of the initial robots did pre-programmed actions. And now the next wave is for those robots to become a little bit more intelligent and explore certain things, deal with unpredictable situations, learn through machine learning, use video, for example, more effectively to do things in a more intelligent manner. So that I think most of the demand, both for the agents and the robotics side, is going to come from companies who have already implemented some element of that, but now are wanting to take it to the next level, versus companies that are going to start from scratch.
Yeah, that's useful. Carol, I just had a question really about... question. It's never happened before. Sorry, I should say it's never happened before. Speaking to the microphone. Okay, I was going to go off piece, so I'll stick to my questions here. No, I've got it. What I was going to ask you was, would you agree with the statement that robotics is more about blue-collar jobs and agentics is more about white-collar jobs, or is that a simplistic way of thinking?
I think in some way, yes, because the core purpose of using robotics is to move people away from dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs. So all the jobs that fundamentally none of us would like to do or want to do. So I think it's maybe simplification, but fundamentally, yes. I think with more intelligent robots, that barrier will be a bit more grey. It won't be, only blue-collar jobs, but maybe a robot in your home helping with your laundry and things like that. But the fundamental thing is letting us to deal with the things that are in our interest or adding more value rather than the things that are, dull, dirty, or dangerous.
Thanks for that. I'll stick to my questions. So the next question really was, what are the challenges in these two domains of agents and robotics? But I'm particularly really thinking about challenges that relate to hardware. I've been in the startup world for a long time, and people have always said things like, don't touch hardware. There's lots of specific challenges. But maybe each of you could talk. Sina, maybe you start. What are the challenges with dealing with hardware?
So challenges for hardware, actually, it can be related to many areas. So, for example, in a humanoid robot, so the idea is to develop a mechanism, actually, or an entity like human. So, but the ability of the actuators, actually, compared with human muscles, are much more limited. So, a human, actually, with a sandwich can run a few hours, maybe. But robots struggle actually to operate autonomously, like more than an hour. So there are many similar problems with respect to energy consumption, batteries, and processors. Actually, how to balance the weight and size of the robot with computational power. So in the case of aerial robot, for example, the weight is very important. So balancing the materials, the density, and the abilities that can have, the onboard abilities of the robots is always a big challenge.
Thanks, Sina. Nick.
Yeah, so I believe in terms of the technology development, so every time, so the new way comes, there will comes the risk as well. So for example, when the internet comes. So we're concerned about that our data will be leaked and will be shared to the whole world. Will be a lot of like the virus, the spread, and that invade everyone's computers. And yeah, our bank account will not be safe anymore. This kind of concerns. And this recent years, the AI agents and caused some concerns. For example, whether they will replace some kinds of the label. Yeah. And I believe especially it will be more dangerous if we combine with the hardware, right? So let's say the robots, right? Because it's a physical thing. It will somehow cause the physical damage to the human being or to the users, right? So that's something we need to put into the top priority, right? So, but I would never like to concern too much about that because let's take still example from the internet. So after several years, there will be firewalls, there will be antivirus program. There will be a lot of like the laws to control the, for example, the adult content on the internet, this kind of stuff, right? So I believe there will be more and more technology to control the, for example, how do we regulate the actions by the robots. For example, before for the industrial robots, we have the emergency stop buttons. Okay, so if someone or user think they're in danger, they can press the button and it will immediately stop. It's some kinds of like safe control actions. And recent years, we have the co-robots. So basically kind of like the co-robot, this kind of stuff. So it has some kind of dynamic functions. For example, so we used to develop a function called the collision detection. So it has some kinds of sensors. When it contacts the people with force, it will automatically stop. Or you can use a camera. When they get close to the human being or users, they can stop. Right? So I believe there were tons of ways in the future that we can regulate the unmanned, whatever it is. For example, nowadays we can see a lot of the autonomous vehicles being actually autonomous vehicles are more and more dangerous than robots, right? But they are being controlled progressively. So I believe they will apply to robots industry as well. So.
Thanks, Nick. Carol, do you have much exposure to robotic startups? And the reason I ask this is really about the difficulties in getting funding for hardware, because obviously software is kind of infinitely scalable and is very attractive to venture capital. Do you see this kind of funding issue as being a problem?
I mean, absolutely. Hardware is very difficult. Hardware is very slow, and I mean, historically, it's been bringing much less attention in terms of the funding. That's somehow changing a little bit, maybe a little bit because of all the interest that we are getting around humanoid robots. I'm becoming skeptical still, but that landscape is slightly changing. But definitely, it's a big challenge for startups that deal more with hardware than the software side of things. Building hardware products is very difficult. It has very slow iteration cycles. You need very multidisciplinary teams rather than software engineers. You need electronics engineers, mechanical or mechatronic, and software and machine learning. And if you will get to your MVP or proof of concept, 10 times slower than software, then to make it into a product is probably 100 times, more effort in terms of time and funding. And if you sell your 10 robots per year and you want to scale to, 1,000 robots per year, that's completely whole different world, because you need to consider manufacturing supply chain, and scale up that whole side of things, which is again completely different world. And again, that's another 100-fold need for resources and time. So yeah, it is very difficult, and historically it's been challenging to get funding for robotics, especially in the hardware side. But it feels like the landscape's changing more positively towards robotics. I think I see much more recognition, not only from the funding side of things, but even from the policy and government. I mean, we recently went through probably about 10 government papers or policy papers or reports written in the last 12 months, and every single of them mentions robotics as a key enabler for the UK economy or key technology that the country needs. So I think that's quite positive.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm going to ask Andy a question about corporates in a moment, but just before that, we always like to leave a lot of time for Q&A. Because it's always interesting to get the point of view of the panelists. So prepare some questions, because after this question, I think I'm going to hand over to the audience. That's giving you a big build-up, Andy. So I'll give you actually a rather leading. I'm going to lead on this question a little bit. I guess I would, let's say chatbots have been around for a long time. A lot of companies use chatbots for all sorts of purposes, like customer service and things like that, and they've been written with specific software that addresses particular questions and things like that. And then with the new kind of revolution of LLMs, people are pushing forward agentic AI as a way of cutting costs by being able to answer almost any questions. But the problem is that there's a high degree of hallucination. So how are enterprises going to get into this world without taking a massive risk and of pissing off all their customers? Really experimenting on their customers. What's the way they're going to enter into these markets and leverage the power of AI?
So I've seen it happen multiple ways. I think companies are beginning to integrate generative AI. They're not necessarily opening it completely to minimize the possibility of hallucinations. Some enterprises do it with AI software, just simply operates within the databases within their firewalls, and some open it up to certain sites as well. But I think what a lot of companies are doing is a certain level of experimentation, and I don't know whether this is what you were leading up to, but I think the value that we bring to enterprises as a KXSB community is that we allow a platform and a community model where companies can bring certain challenges, and we can essentially create outcomes within 20 days. And that's not an option that's always available through other means or traditional models. The pace of innovation of AI is so high at the moment that the canned solutions or productized solutions are just not keeping pace. So you need to innovate on the fly. So that's why a new model is needed, like a community model, where people can come to the table, experiment, come up with solutions, and vet them, and then go ahead and implement them. You can do it. We can within our community, we can implement a HackXelerator solution and outcomes within 20 days, and at significantly lower cost. Give these companies access to a massive pool of diverse resources that they wouldn't otherwise have access to, as well as some technology partners who are coming up with innovative products almost all the time. So that's a unique model that I think these companies will benefit from.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, look, before I do the Q&A, I'll just do a quick show of hands. So who here is a student? There's a few. If you have to decide as to whether you're really in the agentics camp or the robotics camp, who here is really who's really interested in robotics? Quite a lot. And agents? Oh, even more. But it's probably about 50-50, would you say, or just slightly on the agent side? On the agent side. Anyway, okay. So questions then for the panel.
Thank you very much. I guess it's directly for Sina, but Sina, did I say it correctly? But I feel like anybody could really answer it as well. The question on funding. And I guess what I'd like to get from you is, you're a reader at RCA,
That's good.
which is, I guess, an intersection between arts and science. And I'm wondering how your role or your experiences have give you a perspective on funding in terms of bringing robotics and agents into the creative industries, and what are some of the challenges or pain points in terms of that intersection.
Thank you. Very good question. I mean, what I think is actually, so in terms of funding, so when you prepare funding proposals, so you don't go to that much details actually that whether, I mean, which type of agent actually is going to that type of work, right? So we basically we focus on the high-level differentiation of the work. So for example, for my job actually at RCA is how we combine design and robotics. So it means that actually we don't compete only on the technical excellence. So we design robots with the human perspective in mind. So it means that actually we consider human desires, hopes, and concern when designing a new system. So that can differentiate actually the technology. I mean, the way actually we design, actually we assume that these features can help actually the technology to be developed, be more acceptable for the society. So there will be more people looking for this type of technologies actually than purely engineering approach. So I think that this probably can have an impact actually on the funding as well, actually to just demonstrate a new approach actually in the way actually we implement.
Can I just add to that? You've really got the software and hardware as far as funding is concerned. I think what's perhaps changing a bit is that there's a higher expectation of being able to create something before going for funding. I mean, this has been a trend for the last 10 years. It used to be that you could raise funds on a PowerPoint, and now because Gen AI is so simple to implement, the expectation from venture capital and people like that is you've gone a lot further down the line. Now, I guess where I was just going to reverse that into you really is, so with hardware, there must be some kind of expectation to have got to a certain point before you can raise money. Carol?
Yeah, absolutely. But the challenge with hardware is the path from the proof of concept or MVP to actual product is much, much longer and much, much more expensive. But on positive side, the barrier to entry in robotics became much lower now. Like you can get cameras and compute and different pieces of hardware that you can start building some kind of proof of concept for fairly cheap. And effectively start building in your bedroom if you want to. That wasn't possible 5 or 10 years ago at all.
Nick, have you got a point of view of this? I mean, is it your students or PhDs, postdocs, who at some point try to graduate to becoming commercial businesses, and how do they go about it?
Yeah, like I said, I used to work for a startup. Yeah. So basically, a robotics startup. Yeah. So I understand the secure funding is very important, and for some kinds of hardware-wise companies, extremely difficult nowadays because they need to have a complete supply chain to get all this kind of stuff. But like Carol said, that's nowadays somehow become easier. There's a thing. I'm not sure whether you heard. There's a city called Shenzhen in China. So basically, it's famous for startups. So there's a saying there. So if you got enough fundings, you can open your robotics company in one day. Yeah. So in Shenzhen, okay, because you got the full kinds of like the components, cameras, kinds of stuff there. Yeah. So, but from my experience, it's like you need what makes more apart from the components. Another thing is your idea. So what actually do you want to do? So because nowadays I found many robotics companies, they just buy the humanoid robots from, for example, Unitree, and they develop their algorithms. So basically the algorithms is their core core resources, and it's a reason that the VC put some money into it. So I will say, okay, so nowadays it's becoming easier because you can do such a kind of thing. You can have your components from all over the world and open up companies very soon. And but what you need is just a prototype and have your first robots or human robots or the Lego robots, or even you can buy robots and apply some algorithm on it, and after that you can secure some fundings from some VCs.
I mean, just to say that I think some quite complicated fields are already very competitive. I'm thinking about agri-tech, for example. I mean, there are a lot of startups picking fruit and things like that, aren't there? People would think that that was very clever and, you know, would be a ripe market to address. But actually, sorry about the pun, but it's actually remarkably difficult to start an agri-tech startup in robotics, I believe. I don't know if any of you, have touched on that particular field.
I worked with agri-tech quite a bit, and tech is very, very difficult and expensive to develop, and you fight with extremely low margins. So making your business case in agri-tech is extremely difficult as long as there is workforce. And that's a bit of a chicken and egg problem, because, you know, some people in agriculture will say, I won't spend, you know, millions on robots because I can get people on minimum wage from agency to do the work for me until they can't get them. And there are some companies that will think, oh, there is a workforce problem. We don't have people that want to pick fruits. We should maybe invest in robotics. But how it scales up and how it makes your business competitive and so on, it's you know, a big economic and business problem rather than technology. And, you know, how you embrace it, it's a different discussion.
Thanks. Next question.
Thank you. So I've got like a kind of dual question. One was following up on your, you said there's like robotics is for blue collar jobs and agentic AI for white collar. And also you literally just said about how agri-tech, there is people working, so it's kind of hard to compete with them. Is there much attention/appetite for cases where there is no workforce existing there, because it's a dangerous environment? Also, it's not really worth it economically. So maybe if you had some really, really cheap robots to do that, then it would be more viable.
No, it's perfect question, and it's I think the answer is, you know, being strategic. We have exactly the problem that you have. There is, you know, there are workforce shortages in different sectors. Good example in manufacturing. The average age of welder in the UK, I think, is around 50. You need welding for literally any manufacturing process. You know, pretty much every single thing here that's, you know, made of metal being welded or you know, used a process like that. Not many people want to do welding as a job, but that needs to be recognized.
An economical problem where increase the wage, maybe you'll get more workers. Whereas my question was more about, initially it's not worth it to even have people working there. It's in radioactive site, so you don't want people there to begin with. There's no money that's going to let people actually go.
Well, I think Sina mentioned the repair of rotor blades in windmills, which when I came down to your lab, I was pretty amazed by that, because I could imagine photographing, you know, blades for repair with drones, but actually repairing them is pretty, you know, it's pretty amazing. And I guess it would be hard. I mean, you could say, but it would be hard for somebody to get onto a blade to repair it. So I guess it is a new. I mean, does that kind of meet your? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that can be an example, actually, a type of job. So even you increase actually the wage, may not really work actually, because it's a real danger actually or risk to human life. So I mean, I think that case is definitely, I mean, the role of robots are much more justifiable.
Can I just quickly touch on this, because I mean, a lot of people that I know, and I had this experience when it comes to what you just said. I've seen many examples where, you know, business wanted to adopt robots to not have people doing dangerous jobs. But people doing those dangerous jobs were against it because, oh, I get a bonus for doing dangerous job, or I do a night shift, so I'll get better wage rather than I'll be safer. But it's, I mean, adoption of technology and adoption of robotics is very much cultural problem rather than just technology, and it goes back to those things and how you balance it economically as well. Like, if you can have minimum wage workers, and the robots can't compete with them as long as you can't get them. It's quite a complex challenge.
Thanks, Carol. Leo, I can see you're wanting a question.
Well, first of all, just to follow up on that, I think a great example is the British Library, where for several years they've had a human-free conservation zone for the archive of newspapers, because the material is so fragile that it has to be kept in such a controlled environment. They don't allow access in and out in order to preserve that environment. But I actually had a question that comes back to something that Carol was saying and picks up on what you were saying, Jordan, about the funding environment. It seems that there may be a trend from VCs to be looking for not just investing in AI software, but AI software that has some kind of protection against being able to be copied very easily, and therefore looking for AI software that's developed in conjunction with hardware, which is much harder to replicate fast. Do you see a kind of growing synergy between these two camps that Paul is trying very hard to separate and put us in? Is that a trend from your point of view?
I mean, I think so. If you see all the biggest startups in robotics that popped up over the last 5 to 10 years, they are all developing software for, let's say, existing off-the-shelf hardware. Now you get exactly what you said, more and more companies trying to cover both hardware and software, and in that way build their competitive edge or their USP that they build that synergy within the business. And the kind of extreme version of that is all the very big companies trying to push humanoid robots like Figure and Tesla, where they effectively own the whole value stream, from every actuator and battery, the whole electrical, mechanical design through AI stack. How, I'm saying it's extreme because I'm personally quite skeptical about it. But you can see that trend, more and more people trying to build hardware for purpose and software around it. And it's definitely a trend.
Thanks, Carol. Yes, I am going to apply a positive bias towards the back of the room. I was going to apply positive bias to female questioners, but put your hands up now quickly. No cheating from the men at the back there. Okay, we're going to the back then.
Hey, how are you? I'm just reading from the internet. This is Steve Wozniak, and there is the coffee test, if you heard about it. And the coffee test is when a robot will go into my kitchen or any kitchen and make a cup of coffee, like regardless of how messy the kitchen is. So that's called AGI, according to him. So how many years until we reach this AGI, according to you?
Is that a question, though, about robotic AGI, i.e. hardware AGI, if there is such a thing?
Yeah. I'm not sure whether it's robotics or not. Yeah, let's say, if, like you mentioned, it sounds to me more like a robotic scenario, right? So when we talk about the robotics AGI moments, so from my perception, so notice that robots can do a lot more than before. So, but let's define what is the AGI to the robots. So do we need actually a humanoid robot or like a generalized robot to do everything? If the answer is yes, I will not see it in 5 years. So from my understanding, it's like, if you want to do some kinds of like vertical applications, or this kind of specific scenarios. So the first thing nowadays in 2025, do we need to make it into a humanoid robots? I believe the answer is no, because the cost is too high. And actually the robustness as well as the reliability is not enough. Okay, and but we can achieve a lot of things with the different shapes of robots, or if you can not only to a robot, kind of like machines. Okay, but if it comes back to the humanoid robots, I will see, okay, in 5 years, it will grow in a rapid rate. Okay, and I personally think the most possible scenarios, for example, will be, for example, in the restaurants or in the shopping malls, because it's a high frequency of the business actions there. Okay, so you will put the humanoid robots to do some specific stuff, and for per day, will do thousands of the work. So economical-wise, you will save a lot of money, right? And if we want to have a robot to take care of the kids, take care of the elders, and do the responsibilities for the housekeepers, for the nurse, to do everything, I will not see the possibility into 5 years. But that sounds disappointing. But on the other hand, it left a very big open window for everyone to do a lot of preparations for that part.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, so I think I've got, I'm looking carefully at who's asking. I can see you've been trying right from the beginning. Okay, okay. But I think that we've only got one more question after this question.
So I was asking thinking the same thing, that why do we need to do humanoid robot? Because I see in China they have created ones that are doing boxing and all kind of running races. But it's very hard to get that type of robot, because just a robot like that can walk, it's a very hard problem. And it's not a good physical, like human body is not the best, physically. Like I think a lot of, like for a lot of activities is good, but why are people fascinated to create just human-shaped robot? That's one question. And second, actually, I do want to create a robot arm. How can I create arm? Like, is there any open source or something you can suggest to create? Because I do juggling, and I want to have a robot that can juggle.
Yeah. Okay, so basically from the history, you can find a lot of, especially in everyday life. Okay, so most of stuff are designed for the people. So it's designed for human-shaped objectives. For example, when you want to climb to the second floor, if you go that way, that is designed for people instead of your dog or something else. So that's the main reason that we want to design a humanoid robot. But like I said, this path is not like being proved, or to say we can finally develop a humanoid robot to do everything. But this way is something that we want to achieve, because we saw the probability, because the world is already built for 2,000 years. A lot of things has been settled down. For example, the chairs, the desk, the kitchens, the bowls always look like. Okay, so everything is built for human. So we want to have something similar to help everything in our life. So I believe that's the purpose of the humanoid robots.
Thanks. I can see our last question. So that I don't let you all go, I think, Andy, you're going to say a few words, aren't you, after this question about we've got a small challenge thing. But I think you've been trying very hard.
Thank you. To bring robotics and agents kind of together a little bit, and could you expand a little bit on the blockchain that might be used for tracking drones, for example, and for validation verification? And would you be spinning up your own blockchain to do that from an open source, or would you be utilizing one that's currently out there? Maybe just, that's a general question, but especially for Sina.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. So the reason actually in our research, actually we use blockchain is to create a mean of accessing authentic data. So in that case, actually for robots, because when the reality of our manufacturing site and factories is when you go there, so you face many, like hundreds of robots maybe, or like tens of robots that are not identical from the point of view, their age and their source. So they are second hand, third hand, and so the service history and basically performance data of these robots are not readily available to you. So in that case, actually, when you don't have access to reliable data, you cannot train your model with that data to predict any failure in the future. So we want to increase the lifetime of the robots. And for increasing the lifetime, we need to predict actually when we go there actually to do maintenance practices. So when they need repair, when they need remanufacturing, when they need to be recycled. And this is not feasible because the data is not the data we need. So by blockchain, because blockchain is like one of the main features of blockchains is being tamper-proof. So when some data is logged into blockchain, then not easily actually someone can change it, or if the ownership of the robots from one user moves to another user, so then there is a seamless flow of data actually to the second user. So this can be maintained actually, and in this way we can make a data set that is reliable enough to be able to train AI model and do any predictions. So this is in the context of, any robots, actually. It can include drones. But if you have any specific questions about that use case, actually, or is that answered? Or
Drones are doing pilots in the Hawking Islands for delivery of drones and tracking them, for example. But they have several points to track them so they don't fly in the wrong direction or do anything wrong. So I was just wondering if you...
Yeah, I think that can enable actually better security, because the control data actually there will be better interoperability actually between the components of that system when they are connected actually through blockchain, and there will be less security issues actually in that case. Yeah, there might be, much more advantages actually, but this is what I can, imagine now.
On that note, and by the way, I'm very impressed that you've managed to make the connection between agents, robotics, and blockchain. That's the full mix in one go. So anyway, look, I'd like to thank the panel. Brilliant answers and everything. I think it's a really great discussion. We can continue the discussion upstairs on probably some old pizza scraps and some beer and stuff. But I think Andy just wants to say a few words about we're introducing the idea of kind of mini hacks, and I won't steal his thunder. Tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our Agents Robotics HackXelerator is coming up next. The dates will be announced very soon, and you can sign up as was said earlier. We can sign up on the KXSB.org and also a Discord channel. And leading up to that, we want to announce a mini hack, which is basically a 10-day activity. What was it? 10 lines of code? 20, sorry.
Yeah.
20 lines of code.
Small.
50 lines. I got it wrong. I got it wrong.
Or even no code solutions.
50 lines of code. Most innovative, fascinating AI agent mini hack. And there's going to be a £250 price at the end of it. So this is, just a taste leading up to the actual HackXelerator itself. Sorry? Is there a line length limit? Whoops.
I think anything is possible. It's a bit of fun. So yeah, again, you'll see the criteria, the details on the KXSB.org platform straight away when you go on there. Yeah. Kind of pretty well a free for all. But the idea is that to get people doing stuff, and we just want to prove the point that the platform works. We've already done that with London, Paris, Berlin, where a lot of the teams worked on the Discord channel there. Similar concept, get on there, just create something. Okay, a quick question about that.
Yeah. So you mentioned the multiple like robots working on the manufacturing pipeline. So I have like similar. I've seen similar patterns or designs for agents, like discussion around the multi-agent system. But I also noticed one example called Biomni, where they design an agent to do like tens of like or like 50 kinds of biological analysis, pretty much the same like virtual agent doing that many tasks. Well, I do have feedbacks like people saying they are not good at one specific task to begin with. So my question is like, if we're making a comparison, like virtual agents compared to robots, like is there any case like in robots you're trying to build multiple functionalities into one single robot, or you'd rather do like multiple robots system in a pipeline?
Thank you. Excellent questions. So I think both. So in many cases, we want to have multiple functionality into one system. For example, a single locomotory module that can move on the floor, actually move, that can fly at the same time. So to be able to minimize the amount of hardware, I mean, it can be important from sustainability point of view, and for many other reasons, from transport point of view and the usage of materials. But in many other cases also, we are interested in making separate platform and making a mechanism for them to interact and collaborate with each other towards a shared mission. So this is when I think this agency can also help, actually. So because, I mean, the idea behind having specialized agents is that so many of the agents are basically trained actually based on models with restricted scope. So that is not what we see in the real world. In the real world, also I think Carol mentioned that actually the problems are very multidisciplinary. So one agent actually cannot have actually the ability to address many of them. So there is a need actually for orchestration of multiple agents to be able to access that level of knowledge we need. And I think this is basically where the multi-agents and robotics actually can interact, because robots can provide a mean of, for example, robotic sensors can provide a mean of acquiring information from the environment, share it with some other agents. Those agents actually use them for path planning, for example. So there are ways actually that they can interact with each other there.
Thanks, Ina. So that sounds like fertile ground for networking. Let's get deep into this subject. So, but it's a wrap as far as this is concerned. Back upstairs and enjoy a few beers and some wine. Thank you very much.